Welcome to Friday Night Comics. It's Friday night here, um, on the East Coast of the Northern Hemisphere, landmass. But I know where Nikki is. It's Saturday morning, and I know it's early Friday afternoon for some of y'all. So welcome, whatever time and day it is. You're at the Friday night. Oh wait, there we go. You're at the We Believe in Comics Friday Night Workshops at the Sequential Artists Workshop. Um, Sequential Artists Workshop, or SAW, is a 501c3 nonprofit. We have online courses there, which you can find at sawcomics.org. Coming up July 1st, for instance, we have Build Your Voice with Yasmin Abedifard and Visual Journaling with Maureen Burdock. You can find those at sawcomics.org. Next week in this slot, we have Sonica Fwade. I'm not sure what Sonic is going to do, but it'll be super cool. Visual Journaling, there's just a close-up of Maureen. There's a close-up of Yasmin and a little bit more about Yasmin's course. Um, and those are both actually running Tuesday nights in July, so you can't take both, sadly. Um, Donations, thank you if you donated tonight or to any other workshop or event. We really appreciate it. It helps us keep afloat, but more importantly, for this evening, it helps us keep these events free. It helps us pay the instructors, and it helps keep things going. It helps us give lots of scholarships that we give every year and all sorts of things. So thanks for doing that. Okay, when we get started, please note inappropriate speech or imagery. We like to keep these things PG-13, but we've had a couple F-bombs dropped lately. I think we've been okay. Uh, when you share on social media after this event, you can hashtag us at Friday Night Comics or tag us at Comics Workshop. You can also come over to members.sawcomics.org and share. Let's keep an eye on the time. We'd like to make sure these end before 90 minutes to respect our instructor's time. And sharing will help you do that. If you want to share after the fact, that's how to do it. Also, we make PDFs every week of uploads. So if you want to upload what you do, I'll post the link there. And those PDFs, you find those at seesawcomics.org. And, they look like that. Fun and goofy and just really fun. So enjoy. Miriam Rae-Silver, I'm so glad you're here. I love this drawing so much. It's so gentle and it's so quiet, and I really need some of that. I like that it's we're making comics without words. I'm really thrilled by just how gentle that is. So let me see if I can stop sharing. So I'll stop sharing. So yeah, well, welcome, Miriam. Oh, and also, I don't think you're on Instagram. Am I wrong?
No, I do.
Okay.
I do have a handle, but I don't go on there.
Okay, so I won't say tag Miriam because you can't.
No.
Okay. But I'll post your website in the chat quite a few times to make sure people know it.
That's perfect.
All right. I'm going to spotlight you so you'll get big for a moment. There you go.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Tom. And thank you everyone for
Sure.
joining us tonight. This is so exciting. So tonight we're going to be doing silent comics, so comics without words. I'll start giving you a little background about myself. Um, I am really lucky to have grown up in a household where art was really encouraged. My mother was a painter when I was growing up. So some of my earliest memories, and I grew up in South Florida, of course. So some of my earliest memories were of sitting on the back porch with my mother painting. And I was maybe 3 or 4, and my mom would be painting and she would say, "Here, come into the painting." She'd invite me to step in and she'd say, "Look around. What do you see? What do you smell? What do you taste?" And if it was a figurative painting, she'd say, "What are the people saying?" And I'd have conversations with the people in there. So I think a lot about that sense of wonder, and that's really what I want to capture and try to recreate in making comics. I'm always kind of striving for that. Um, as for comics, I started reading. I loved the Sunday Funnies growing up, as probably a lot of you did. I also really loved Archie, and my father was a big Archie fan, so that was something we shared, and it was fun to feel like I was a second generation Archie fan. Um, Let me go ahead and share my screen, and I'll talk a little bit more about my comics work.
Cool.
So here, welcome to Silent Comics. Tonight, by the way, we're going to be focusing on doing comics with transitions that involve nature. So just think about that a little bit and I'll explain it more in a minute.
Mm.
Okay. This is a short comic that I did during the pandemic. I was thinking about the juxtaposition of fears. And of course, while I was quarantined during the pandemic, it was so scary, the thought of being around people. And I thought, what is the opposite of that? The thought of, and I thought it would be isolation. So this comic, we have this girl, she's being crowd crushed, and then she wakes up and realizes that was a dream and she's actually like totally isolated and alone. So I really like juxtaposing these different ideas, the different poles of fear.
Mm.
These are some nature comics. So the bird watching comic, and these are silent comics. I do have a little addendum at the end, but that was just sort of for my friends. If you read through this one, you see I'm bird watching, and then I look and I realize it's not. I think I've seen a roseate spoonbill, which is a really cool bird, but it's actually just a ball in the water. I added the little addendum because I have seen roseate spoonbills and I've told my friends, so I didn't want them to think I was lying. And then the next comic, I really was thinking about the transitions with this one. So we have this one deals with growth, death, and revival. So the flowers have died, the girl is sad, she cries on them, and then her tears bring them back to life. So she's happy. So this is a transition through time and through the life cycle in nature. Cloud watching, this one I really just love to lay out in the grass. I love to look up at the clouds. I was thinking, what does that feel like to me when I'm looking up at the clouds and what am I aiming for? And I really feel like I'd love to be floating up into the sky and I'd love to be up there with the clouds. And if you look at the second panel, you see that
Mm.
it's not just the figure that's floating up, but also the clouds are moving down. So in my work, I'm always really interested in the intersection between humans and nature. And I want to ask, um, are we affected by nature, but are we also affecting nature? And so as the girl is rising up, you see at the end, the clouds are also coming down to the earth. So there's some change in nature as well. It's not just the change in the people. This is a comic. I wanted to show this comic because I think of silent comics as being, I think it's really easy to think of them as just being quiet, but I think they can also be loud. If you look at the second page in the middle row, I think I was really trying to give a sense of splashing around and movement. So I think you could sort of hear the water splashing. I think that you can show things that are having a big impact and you can think of hearing things too. They don't have to just be it. Silent comics are really nice because you can be quiet, but you can try to show sound as well. This is just a little excerpt from a longer comic. Um, It is showing a transition. You do see, if you look at the first panels, that is like it's sort of like a figure, and then it's sort of dissolving back into a person. But I wanted to show this because this is a comic that I did in black and white. But I printed it out as a mini comic on this like dusky ultramarine color. And I really like thinking of color as giving, it can be like it can lend a sense of time of day to a comic. So this really helped enhance the sense of it being nighttime, going to bed, falling asleep. So definitely think about using color, and you don't have to use a lot of colors. You could use just one color, and that could really enhance what you're doing. And this comic, the first one is, you will recognize that from my promo picture. These two were comics that I did as diary comics during the February 1st hourly comics. So that's why they have the little captions. I still think they're silent comics. The captions work more as just titles. And thinking about transitions, if we look, this comic on the left is about falling asleep. So the girl is closing her eyes, and then in the second panel, you see, the bed has sort of just become colors, so that's a way to be abstracting it. And then the bed, the blue sheets are sort of turning into the clouds, and the pink blanket is in the background there too, and it's turning into flowers. And then in the final panel, I mixed all the colors. So that's a way of, that's a way I felt like it was sort of wrapping up the transition, making it going from falling asleep to fully into a dream state. And then this last comic is that was also for Hourly Comics, and it's using like a mentholated shower soother. And I used the green to sort of, there's no green in a shower soother, but it sort of
Hmm.
gives a minty feel. And then at the end, I end up there green. And you can see the little stars in my eyes are sort of to show something magical, something different has happened. It's not exactly just our regular world. So it's a little bit of magical realism. Um, in there. And that's my all my slides.
Lovely. People want to know if you're working analog or digital here.
Oh, analog.
Uh-huh. Is it marker or watercolor or both?
Yes, it's here. Let me, how do I unshare my screen? Oh, stop
Oh,
share.
there
Okay,
you
there.
go. Mhm.
Sorry. Okay. Yes, so I'm working, those were Copic markers on vellum paper. Um, like this type of vellum. It's a little bit translucent. So that's just that. And I'll do it on different layers or the same layer. And you can draw also on like Bristol and then layer the vellum over it. So yeah,
Mm.
be fun. And also just ink and paper too. Some of those were just ink and paper.
Uh-huh. Cool.
So I think we want to get started. Um, okay, so we're going to be doing transitions in nature. So I want everyone to make a, here, let me switch my screens really quickly.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Did we lose Miriam? Did maybe I just lost her. Um, we did this and we tested this before. It totally worked. Let me see if I can find her. Um, Does anyone see Miriam? And did we lose her for real?
No,
She's
I'm
not.
here.
Oh, there you are.
I'm flipping it.
There you are. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're looking at your ceiling again. But
Yes, had to touch that tiny button. All right, so we're gonna be, I want you to divide, if you have a paper, divide it into four.
okay.
This first one is going to be for transitions. We're gonna be thinking of transitions and also juxtapositions in nature. So think of things that are transitions. Think of hot and cold, soft and hard, um, summer and winter. Think of a snowflake melting. Think of the waves crashing onto the shore and then the sea going really still. We want things where you're having some change of state, change of color, change over time. The next one we want to write out some natural elements. You could do rocks, you could do waves, you could do flowers, leaves, berries, fruit. Um, then the third panel, we want that to be if you have any personal symbols, just things you like to draw. If you like stars, if you like to draw hearts or little swirlies, and the fourth panel is going to be, I want you to write or draw just some of your favorite places in nature. So let's take about 5 minutes to do that.
Okay, wait. Are we writing some things down first or making like little
We're
list
we're right. Yeah, these
possibilities?
are just lists. Do
Ah,
words and pictures, whatever you feel. Just
okay. And just to be clear, so two is possible transitions in nature. Two is natural, there we go, elements. Three is
natural. Exactly.
and three is personal symbols.
Hmm.
Okay.
And then the fourth one is your favorite places in nature.
Oh, all right. Thanks for writing that out too. That'll help. But
Sure.
also put it in the chat. Okay. Oops. All right, I put that in the chat as well.
Okay, great.
And transitions, in some way, you're thinking of opposites from one to another, right?
Exactly. It doesn't have to be opposites, but that
Hmm.
is one easier way to think of it. You can think of the sun setting, the moon rising.
Mm,
You can think of stars coming out. You can just think of growth too, growth or death, renewal,
right.
anything where you're seeing some change, you're feeling it, you're thinking about the change.
So a seed to a sprout would count, but it's not an opposite. I got
Sure.
it.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a juxtaposition.
Hmm.
It's just juxtapositions can be helpful to think about.
Now, with number three, you said personal symbols. These don't have to be nature related, right? Or do they?
No, and these don't have to even be anything. These can be things that you like to doodle a lot. So I'm drawing little hearts. These can be little swirlies. The idea is just to get an idea for things that you like to draw that can add some things. They might be adding emphasis to your drawings. You might be using these to show change over time. I like stars a lot. I always find those are helpful and those can really show something's happening. Little bubbles are great too.
Mhm.
And in places in nature, you can think specifically of your favorite places too. It doesn't have to be just broad. It can be, the woods at your grandmother's house. It can be somewhere behind your house, just
Mhm.
anywhere you like to go. Anything that's made an impact on you. Okay. I think we're getting to about 5 minutes. So, is everyone feeling good?
Yeah,
Okay, that's great.
I managed. I'm not getting any. Let us know if you're not okay in the chat. But I think people are doing okay.
Everyone's doing good. That's great.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Okay. So then I want you to look at your places in nature. And from that, I want you to pick a place, pick your favorite place, and we want to do a 5 minute drawing of that. So think of somewhere that has been really, just somewhere you feel really connected to, whether it's a really specific place or maybe you just love the woods, you love the forest, you love the ocean. And try to think of something, if you've had any really transformative experiences, that would be great to think of that. And you want to, for this, you also want to be thinking anything like what are your specific things that you've seen there? What have you heard there? How has it made you feel? Anything you can show like that. If you want to do, and if you're thinking of the forest, you could always do something super up close. You could do
Mhm.
like a leaf or your favorite tree there. It doesn't have to be a broad overview.
Okay.
And let's take 5 minutes about for that.
This is also sort of a warm up, right? Chris is asking if,
Exactly. Yes,
yeah.
this is a warm up.
Yeah, you really like clouds, Miriam. I see that.
I do, I do. That is true. Clouds are great. And I was just drawing on a piece of paper in my sketchbook, and now I'm grabbing some vellum and I'm gonna do a little bit of color on top.
Oh, wow.
But you don't at all need to use color for this. If you want to, feel free.
Do you sometimes do your color on a separate layer and then scan them together?
I usually scan them together. I
Uh-huh.
usually just tape them down.
Wow.
And it can be fun if I have multiple vellum layers to really play with them and see which should go on top, because I'm not always sure.
Hmm.
I don't know if you hear my markers squeaking, but
Every
they,
once in a while.
they make kind of a squeaking sound.
I think Zoom has a way of trying to cut out a lot of sounds, but I hear it a little
That's
bit.
true. We have about a minute left. And this is just a warm up, so don't worry. If you're not finished, that's fine too. Then I'm going on top and I'm adding some more black over some of the colors. I also find it doesn't bleed too much together, so I think the vellum pretty much absorbs it. It's been about 5 minutes, so we can finish up our last warm-up drawing and we can move on to our comic. Okay, so I did, I think you all can see, for my place in nature, I picked the beach. My friends and I like to go to the beach for the full moon and watch the moonrise over the ocean. It's really beautiful. So I always find that super inspirational. And then I think because of that, the moon really works its way into my comics quite a bit. So I want you to take your um, I want you to take the place that you chose. We're going to be doing a 4-panel comic. So we're going to draw 4 panels. And I want you to pick one of your transitions. Maybe it's sunset. Maybe you want to see the moonrise. Maybe you want to show, uh, you could show something even like erosion, the ocean splashing and eroding rock over time. I want you to look at your natural elements also and see if there's anything you want to add in from the natural elements. What we're trying to do is show a change over time or over, it can just be a change in state also, which would be a change over time. You could show something melting or something solidifying. Um, and I want you to pick a natural element. You can also look through your natural elements and say, do any of these look out of place in my setting? So I'm thinking of doing a comic where maybe I'll choose a seashell, which would be in place at the beach, but maybe inside I'll have something. I might have a pearl, but I might also have some flowers. That's a little bit unexpected. And then I'm going to see where does it go? What happens next with the flowers? Does that sound good?
Mhm.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, I put that in the chat. I wrote, we'll pick our place that we did and look to the transitions list and show that transition silently and pick a natural element from our list if we want.
Okay, perfect. And you don't have to have an unexpected element. It's fine to not, but if you want to, that can sort of act as a little bit of a surprise. We can bring some magical realism in, some surrealism.
What do you think? Are you going to do 5 minutes per panel, less than that
Yes,
for?
yes, exactly. Let's start and do 5 minutes per panel. So we will have
Okay.
20 minutes total, and I'll let you know
Okay.
how we're
That's,
doing on the time.
I can also put a timer on my screen because, but we'll just do it from yours. Now, have you already given thought to this, Miriam? Do you know exactly what you're doing? Are you
I don't know exactly what I'm doing. So I want to add, so I'm drawing a little seashell here on the ocean. I think I'm going to be showing the moon rising. So I want to have a pearl in here maybe. Maybe the pearl is coming out and the pearl will be the moon rising into the sky, sort of a classic idea. But I think I'd like to also have some flowers in there. And I think some of the flowers will be going up into the sky too and acting as little stars. So that's going to be a sort of unexpected element.
Oh,
So if you want to pick things um, that seem like they're sort of out of place, you can give them a reason to be there.
are you just thumbnailing or is that your finished panel?
I think these will be the panels, yeah.
If you're working so fast, that's why I'm asking. But
Well,
cool.
I'll add some color.
And did I hear right? You might show a pearl turning into the moon, or you might show some flowers turning into some stars.
I think I'll be showing both.
Wow. All right. This is exciting. And anyone who wants to put in the chat what they're depicting, that would be super cool. Because
Yeah, I would love to hear.
Jackie says, what about the personal symbols? I knew somebody was going to ask that.
Yeah, that's great. So use those if you feel like you're showing a change over time. Maybe you're showing maybe like you want to show a forest close up and you're showing a leaf, and maybe a caterpillar is eating a leaf, and maybe one of your personal symbols is a heart, and the caterpillar eats the leaf into a shape of a heart. You could do something like that. You could do, if you like squiggly lines a lot, if you use spirals, you could use those around any of your um, any of your objects to show like a change happening. So I'm starting mine. This is going to be sort of the sun setting because that has to happen before the moon rises. We have about 2 minutes left on our first panel.
Oh, I'm treating it like, I think I'm taking it for granted here.
But go at your own pace. You can always take time to finish.
Regis is drawing an overgrown alley going through a fire. Wow.
Oh, wow. That sounds great.
And Nikki is trying to get her cat not to sit on our sketchbook.
Oh, that's always a challenge, isn't it?
Hmm.
That's nice to have pets with you when you're drawing, though. It sounds like you guys are doing really cool things. I can't wait to see.
Oh, I look down and then look up and suddenly there's color.
Yeah, it's fun. It's really fun drawing with these markers. They're Copic. I really recommend it.
There's another brand that's very popular now, but I can't remember what they're called.
Oh, there's some Tombow, but these I like those, but these blend super well.
Hmm. Oh yeah, you're blending them.
Yeah, yeah. And on this paper, it makes it really easy to blend. So you should be about done with your first panel, but if not, that's fine. I'm going to move on to my second one. And now my second one, I'm drawing, I'm having the clamshell be open just a tiny bit, and we're going to get a little hint that something is in there.
Hmm.
And I'm going to have a little hint of pink so that we know there's something a little bit unusual inside. It's the flower that will be pink. I like to really think about how much information you're giving away in each panel and do a little by little. And then the last panel can be a nice reveal if you're doing something that's a little bit surprising. But also just thinking about any transitions, you might want the first panel to be one thing. The second panel, you might think of the change as 15 to 25% of a change. And the third panel, maybe 50 to 75%. And the final panel as really completely transformed.
Hmm. Most of us don't think in percentages. Math is not our
Oh,
strength.
no, I really, I'm not for math either.
No, I know what you mean. So when you blend, you take a second color, put it on top a little, and just smush it around?
Yeah, they do have a blender stick, which is clear, and I think it's
Hmm.
probably alcohol. I like those a lot, but they get your markers will get dirty pretty fast anyways if you're using them. Or if you're, using them to blend. Another thing, I really like markers once they're dried out a little bit, because for markers, that's the only way you can get any difference in intensity. Otherwise, it's always, I mean, you can layer them, but you're always getting the same amount of ink until they start to get dry. So I don't throw them out immediately, and I try to revive them like a little bit.
Hmm.
And then you can get all these different, like a dry marker will give you such a different look than
Hmm.
a real fresh marker. We have about a minute and a half left for this one. I'm adding little hints of color, but also I'm going to take a darker blue and sort of dull it a little bit because it is nighttime and it's hard to see color at night. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes. I'm going to move on to my third panel.
Okay.
I'm just grabbing a different marker, a little bit thinner.
Oh, look at that. Flowers and a pearl inside the
Mm,
shell.
yes, and so I'm having a few flowers come out already, and you see the pearl is in there. And I'm thinking too about the panels getting a little bit darker over time because the closer it is to the moon rising, the darker it's going to be getting outside. So we're on our last minute for this panel. But if you're drawing more slowly, that's fine too. You can always finish, you can always thumbnail what you're doing or write little notes if you don't want to forget exactly where you are. And I'm adding a little glow around my flowers. I want them to feel a little ethereal. Okay, so that was just about 5 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and work on my last panel. I think you guys are doing great. I'm really excited to see how everything's coming along.
Okay, alert. Nikki's cat has finally gotten off her sketchbook.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I'm
So
glad.
now the workshop can start.
Okay, now we'll start working. That's nice though. I love pets.
Oh, look at that.
So 1 minute left for this panel. So if you can, try to finish up wherever you happen to be working on it. I'll be excited to see, but it feels like everyone's doing really well. This feels like really good energy. I really like drawing with other people like this. I always feel like you guys get really infused into my drawings, and it makes my drawings really different than they would have been if I'd been drawing alone.
Oh, it's an interesting thing to say. That's so nice.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Of any excuse to commune with nature, even if it's in front of a computer and not
Yeah,
anywhere near nature.
exactly. All right, I think that is just about 5 minutes. So go ahead and finish up. And if you're not finished, if you're still working, definitely write yourself a note, do a thumbnail, do something so you remember where you were. And, of course, you can keep working while we start sharing.
Um, yeah, well, as you finish, what we can do is the people who are finished, they can raise their Zoom hands and start to share. And meanwhile, probably other people will slowly finish.
Okay, great. Let me switch my view back so I can see everyone.
Um, so I'll ask people, and Miriam, actually,
Yeah.
when you return, um, let's
I'm
see.
still here.
Right. Uh-oh. We lose Miriam again. Oh wait. Oh right. There we go. I'm gonna spotlight you, but it'll just be for a moment. Miriam, if you get a chance, go to your menu on the bottom, raise your Zoom hand. Um, if you can find it. The thing is it will the horrible Zoom AI machine will try and lower it uh without telling you. If you notice that, you catch it. But
I'm not seeing the option. I think it's usually under participants.
no, well, it could be, but it's also often under React. And it might
Let me
be
see.
that and there's it's so complicated. There's two ways to pull up that menu. There's a little arrow, and that's one menu, but actually clicking the heart is a different menu, and it's usually under, you did it. There we go. Great. That'll keep you sort of up in the grid a little bit. So great. Why don't we just take a look and see what some people have done? Are you ready?
I'm so excited. Yes.
Okay. So we'll start with Casey. So when you're ready, you can come on screen. Then we'll go to Gail, Chris, Walter, Regis. Um, but I'll need Casey. to maybe we'll start with Gail. Oh wait, Casey's coming on. There we go. Here we go.
Hi. Sorry about that.
Hi, no problem.
Um, I am completely. Do I just say share screen
You
on the
can. I'll have to
little?
change the settings, so give me a second to do that for you. Okay, go ahead. Hi again, Casey.
Hi.
And then
Hi. Okay, so can y'all see my screen?
yeah.
Yeah.
So the first panel with the seashells, well, I like the beach. I wasn't expecting the host here to use the beach. But I like the beach too. I just find like the noise that the like crashing of the waves sound very satisfying. And so the first panel is some seashells um like scattered throughout the beach panel. And then in the second panel, as you can see, there's a transition where you can no longer see the any of the seashells but one, except because the waves have gotten more intense in that area. And then there's like blackout. There was supposed to be color, but then like my perfectionism got to me and I couldn't decide on colors. I wanted them to originally be the colors of the wave so that it would seem like a blackout. And then it's back to the spot it was at, except there's no seashells. That is
That's
pretty much it.
I love that, Casey. That's great. And I also love how you drew your panels. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Definitely. Thanks, Casey. Awesome. Okay. We'll go to Gail next. I'm gonna see if you can hit that stop share button, Casey. Awesome. Thanks. Go to Gail. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Hi, this was Miriam. This was so great. Thank you so much for this. Okay, so I drew a place that I really love near where I live called Muscata Marsh. And basically what I did was I just kept zooming out. So I started with this close-up of sandpiper on the shore, and I tried really hard to get the transition that I was thinking about was the transition between the water and the shore. And I have a really hard time drawing water. And especially in this case, I was doing it from a reference photo where there was a lot of light on the water, a lot of sunlight. So it was hard. But anyway, so then I zoomed out a little bit, and then I zoomed out more to get the marsh grassy area, and then even a little bit further so that the sandpiper is very tiny, and now there's something man-made, this kayak launch. So this was really great. Thank you so much. Really wonderful.
Thank you, Gail. And I really love seeing how you drew the water. That's always so interesting to me to see the different ways that people treat that. That's great. And I love that you added the man-made element too. Excellent.
Cool. Thanks, Gail. Okay, Chris next.
Hello. My pre-drawing was a foresty path near some water, and so that's what my first panel is. And the thing to pay attention to, I guess, is a leaf, which I expand on the next panel, and then it gets some friends, and then all the leaves fall down, and that's it. So
That's
that's
great, Chris.
that was really
Those
fun.
colors.
Thank you.
Classic autumn scene, and the trees feel brittle,
Yeah.
Love it. Thanks, Chris. We'll go to Walter next, if Walter's ready. Walter. Then we'll go to Regis after that. Here's Walter.
So I always liked how fallen trees turn into their own little ecosystem. So I think I wound up following one through 4 seasons. It falls in the fall and goes through winter, spring, and then a full summer of flowers. So there you go.
Really neat. I love that idea. That's so great.
And by the way, I have to say, Miriam, Your delivery is like up there with David Lasky in gentle engagement. I love it. Thank you.
That was sweet. Thank you so much. I'm so glad everyone came. Thank you.
Agreed. Thanks, Walter. Okay, Regis next.
Yeah, so I live in Albuquerque and there's a lot of really overgrown alleys here. So I drew, let's see if I can see this, the alley in the upper, the first panel
We got a
with,
we got a little bit of a blur because I think you got a blur on. Can you? Oh,
oh, sorry.
you can also hold it right next to your face. Sometimes I know that sounds crazy, but
Is
yeah,
that working?
yeah. And then if you could move
Oh, I
forward,
see it. I see it.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
That
So you
works.
can see, okay, you can see the alley in the upper left, the first panel, and then it's on fire and the sky is getting dark in the next panel. In the third panel, so I'm losing it now. Things are sort of simmering down. You can see the building on the side is destroyed and the wildlife are destroyed. But in the final panel, the destroyed building has become overgrown with cactus and things like that.
Really cool. And I like how you do the play between people and nature with the building and nature. That's really great. That's
Thank you,
awesome.
Megan.
Cool. Thanks, Regis. Okay, so Kai next.
So I didn't have any, it would help if it had, oh man, usually I can do it with my face. So my first panel is sequoia with the big trees and little tiny trees growing here. And the second panel is a fire because sequoia needs fire in order to make the, it has to have it. And so then the next one is where some of the tree has fallen down and the fire is going away and whole bunches of little tiny leaves of trees are growing up. And the third one, the trees that are making it up into the sun are growing and the old tree is dying. And so if I had color, the fire would show up better, but I'm not in a place where I could do that tonight. So thanks.
That's really great. Thank you so much. And I think that's really interesting showing how you show it without color too. That's great.
Yeah. Thanks, okay. We'll go to Natalie next. Here we go.
Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out how to screen share really quick.
Usually there's a green button on the bottom. We can it says
Oh,
share.
okay.
You know?
I would like to do that, please.
Do you see
And
that button?
then, yeah,
Okay. And then it'll ask you to share what you want to share, depending upon what kind of
sure.
machine you're on.
This should be it. Share. Ah, one second. Let me open settings. Sorry. There we are.
And we'll go to Joanne after this, and Julia, and then Paula, and Eric. Oh, you got a little kitty there.
There we
Sure.
are. Share.
You
Got
got
it.
it? Ah, there we
Yeah.
go. Yep.
So, oh, I hope this is working.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so I chose a tree from my childhood, which was a mango tree, and the concept is on the bottom left. And I used to love this tree, and I used to lay under it and eat the mangoes. And I think the transition more was with me growing up and how I ended up perceiving the tree. So in the first panel is me just laying down under the tree, just chilling because I'm a kid. And then in the third panel, I think it's I use a plane to represent the changes because it represents a couple things more than one. Things like climate change, having to move out of the island because of the sailing infrastructure. And then in the last one, I'm growing up and the tree is not dead, but it gets harder sometimes. And so it's not as flush as it used to be. So that's what I did.
That's so great. I love that you also incorporated climate change as a change. That's like really a great idea.
Yeah. Okay.
Fabulous.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Natalie. Yeah. What island is that?
Puerto Rico.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Okay, we'll go to Joanne next.
Um, I live in the desert area, so I was thinking about the erosion of rocks with wind, and so we start, and then the wind comes in, and then rain and thunder and wind, and then we end up with a very smooth, round rock at the end.
That's great. I really love that third panel showing rain.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Joanne. All right, we'll go to Julia next. Let's see. There we go.
Okay, so my contrast was, I guess, being there and leaving, and being afraid, and I don't know, uh, a feeling of like sublime, I guess.
Mm.
So the it's a from when I was much younger and I saw two cubs in the woods. I was alone in the woods and I saw two cubs. And so what I'm thinking is, where's their mama? And then the cubs leave and I see them up on the top of the hill. And then the after experience is of just remembering how amazing it was.
Wow.
That's super cool. And I love to see like that it's figurative too. That's really interesting.
I love that ending with the translating it into artwork too. Thanks so much, Julia. We'll go to Paula next. Here we go. Oops. Oh, I see.
Hopefully it's self-explanatory. Can you tell what's going on? Uh, so I was trying
Yeah.
to share my experience. I'm from Colombia and I got to go snorkeling in the ocean with the humpback whales and listening to their music.
Wow. How close were you?
Pretty close. Yeah. They're very big. It was pretty amazing. Thank you.
That's exciting. And I love the hearts and the music that you drew. That's great.
Thanks, Paula. Okay, Eric next. Here we go.
Hi, everybody. Good job, Miriam. I love it.
Huh.
Let's see. So, okay, kind of hard. Let's let it go. Okay. So I was just thinking about like the birds on the bay. So there's kind of like this ibis looking little thing. And it's swooping down, looking at a fish. I guess my image is flipped or something, but then there's this little scene. I like to draw like lines to add emphasis to things sometimes. So they are like looking at each other like, oh no. Like, and then it just shows them flying away.
Oh.
And there's this spot in the bay that I like to sit at, and there's these like two towers like in the beach, and this little island always right here. And sometimes I kayak out to it also, so I like this little view a lot. You see it every day pretty much, so thank you.
I love that, Eric. And the last panel is really beautiful. Did you do that just from memory or were you looking at photos?
Yeah, I draw it like a lot. Like I sit in the same spot like pretty much every day, so I see it like it's like in my brain. Yeah.
That's super nice. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Awesome, Eric. Thank you. We'll go to Alice next, then Jackie, then Judith.
Hi. I don't know if you can see this. Well, let's see. There we go. Okay, so the four panels, the top two, I had just recently gone to visit our families. I have multiple family members at a gravesite, so I thought about being sad at the gravesite, leaving a stone, and then, it stays dark, and then eventually the leaves grow and the grass grows around, and then when you go back, you can see the birds and the nest and the new life. It's kind of like the grief cycle on top of just being there. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And,
That's really great.
and color like yours, Miriam, I think.
I love that color. That's really like great moody color. How dusty it is.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was trying to make the color change over time, and it's also how you see things as you get through grief.
Mhm. True. Okay, we'll go to Jackie next. Let's see. Here we go.
Okay. So I didn't go very far. I just picked my own backyard um, where I have peonies, and it was not by choice. They came with the house. When we bought the house, we had no idea that they were there. And then when we moved in, we're like, wow, look at those cool flowers. So this is my 4 panels. This is the first one with the snow. And the second one is the sticks are coming out. The third one is all the leaves when it's just brush. And then the fourth one is the peonies, but I also incorporated clouds because they remind me of clouds. Like when they come out, they're just fluffy and they glow at night. And they're really magical. Uh, the bummer is that they only last for 10 days. And I cheated a little bit because I have a vase of them right here. Here's one right now.
I didn't know they lasted only 10 days.
Yeah, it's just not here for a long time, just here for a good time, as they say.
I love that. I love that lush drawing at the end of the peonies. That's great.
Oh, thank you.
And not at all cheating to use a life reference.
Great. Thank
Thanks.
you, everybody.
Thanks, Jackie. Okay, we'll go to Judith next.
Hi, I'm going to share. Hopefully it'll go easily.
All right, hang on. I have to change that.
Yeah.
There you go.
I hate when things don't work. Okay, did I share yet?
Not yet.
Here we go. Okay, so the thing is, the very first one where we were supposed to draw our choice, I ended up here. I want to see what I'm doing here. This part over here was I can make it bigger. Here we go. I have a friend that lives in San Geronimo in Marin County, and she lives near an 800-year-old redwood tree. And when you said choose your favorite place, whenever I visit her, I like to go say hi to my old friend. And I drew this picture right then, and then it turned out to be the last part of the thing. So my transition is from sadness to happiness. And so we have here just being sad, and there's the tree, and then waiting until the moon comes out, which always cheers me up, and then seeing the moon, and then we're happy. So there we go. It was interesting to combine so many different possibilities. I like that. And also made me really wish I was there. So there you go.
That's really great. And I love how that last panel, the tree isn't drained by the panel. It's sort of coming out. That's great.
Well, I ended up using the thing I had done before. That's why it's like that. You know what I mean? I had to add it on. But the other thing is that because it was such a tall tree, I could only show the bottom of it. I mean, it's really, these trees go up forever. So this is the part of showing the top of it. But obviously it's very rough, but it felt real to me, which is nice. Okay.
Thanks, Judith. All right, we'll go to Eli next.
Hello.
There you are. Hi, Eli.
Let's see. Okay, so there's this place down in Southern California called the Anza Borrego Desert, and it is just like not a wasteland, but it is just rock and cactus, and it is beautiful and it's hot and it's like really bright. There's granite rocks and then red rocks. I don't know what those are. And you can take this hike called the Hellhole Canyon hike. And when you get to the end of it, there's a an oasis of these date palms. And as soon as you get into the date palms, they've got their old fronds cling to the trunk, and they're really, really tall. Like a person is probably just a tiny little speck right here. And it changes all the light in that area, and everything turns kind of golden and sort of like that Hollywood light. And then when you get to the end of, oh, and you're following like a dry creek bed, but then when you get to the top, there's a little waterfall with maidenhair ferns and moss. They're there all year long, and it's just like running in the desert. And at night, the bighorn sheep come out, and or early morning, and at night they come out when it's cooler and drink from the stream. And when you're walking up, you see their little hoof prints, and you kind of hope that maybe you'll see one, but they're very shy. So that's just a transition from hot, blazing sun to cool oasis and then night.
Wow.
And with those stars, that's really great.
Oh yes, this will always help you out as the Posca white pen.
No.
Make dots over anything. This was awesome. Thank you. I really love this one.
Thanks, Eli. Okay. Thought we were going to go to Alan, but I think, oh, there's Alan. All right, hang on.
Sorry, I thought there was someone else before me. Anyway, so oops. Let me get back to the screen. Sorry, still not at home and still, still, okay, I'm not muted, good. So still don't have access to my normal equipment and computer or anything, and still struggling with a cheap tablet and a software I'm not used to, but I managed to get something done. So I'm going to share my screen here. I live in LA, so can't really do seasonal transitions because there is no real visible distinction between seasons. As far as terrains, I like forests, but there aren't any around here except the Los Angeles National Forest, which is all mostly conifers and scraggly and sparse. And I decided to go with one natural thing around here that I did enjoy going to when I was a kid, although I haven't really been recently, which is tide pools. And again, very simple drawings because I'm kind of struggling with art equipment, but whoops, did not share. There we go. Is it visible? Can you see the first two panels there?
It looks like it wants to share, but it hasn't. There we go. Yep.
Okay. Like I said, still struggling with cheap computer and bad equipment. So I tried. In Sunset, I would have added a lot more detail if I'd had time and better equipment and weren't struggling with the software. But I did the sunset, and also, although it's subtle, there's also the tide is coming in, so the pools get slightly bigger. I should have added some waves and texture to the water. Again, kind of short on time. Um, and the symbols actually kind of picked cross-hatching as personal symbol because when I had a webcomic, which I hope to start up again once, I like doing, to vary up the background, sometimes just cross-hatching as a background, although it was generally a little, I took more time with it than here. So anyway, I have the sun going down and the pool's getting bigger. Here the sun is down and then it's, got the colors in the sunset. I didn't use any color except the sky because again, short on time, struggling with the software. And then it's night and high tide apparently. So there we go, just tide pools, sun going down and tide coming in.
That's really great. I love that. And there's
That's what I ended up doing here. But anyway.
Super nice for that. I really like it. Thanks so much.
I like that lo-fi style too, Alan. I think that looks good. Thanks. We'll go to Zareen next. Hi, Zareen.
Hi, this is amazing. So I was thinking of Blue Heron Lake, which is a lake near me in Golden Gate Park. I go there for walks every day in the morning, and there's like a really beautiful, like tranquil water there, and there are tons and tons of birds that you can hear at all hours of the day. So I was thinking of birds and I was thinking of water, and the transition I had in mind was like rise and fall. And I was thinking both the rise and fall of water as well as like birds like flying into the sky and going down. So I kind of like combine those in a sort of surrealist way. So we start off with there's like a dock there and the water's calm. And then slowly the water is starting to like have larger waves and we see like a little bird head peeking out. And then down here, it starts to like transition into there's like the waves and then also these feathers from the birds are sort of like blending together and there's some sort of magical thing going on. And then in the last one, the water kind of turns into birds and they're flying above. And then there's just like dirt or sand left underneath. So.
Wow.
I love how magical that is. The birds are like really beautiful. Thanks for sharing.
Thanks, Irene. All right, we'll go to Jeannie next.
Yeah, Miriam, this was wonderful. Thank you. I just feel so peaceful. So my favorite thing is water, and when I was a child, I loved to sit on the top of a hill and just look out. So those are the two things that I was thinking about. But I settled into water, and I do try to go swimming as much as I can because I just love being under the water. And this is me jumping in, and there's a little something over here coming over. And then I get into the water in the second panel, and that little thing is becoming a little bit more clear. And then in the third panel, I've splashed all the way down, which I usually like to stay at the bottom as long as my breath holds out, just because I love being under the water. And for people who know me, this is my familiar, which is a chicken. And then this is me when I finally take off for my laps, and I've got my chicken with me on my head. So thank you. And I'm just hoping water is enough of nature, because I know a swimming pool is man-made, but it's the water that gets me every time. So thank you. This was lovely.
I love that. That's great. I love swimming so much too. I love the chicken appearing. That's so great. Very surprising.
Awesome, Jeannie. Thanks. We'll go to Sumit next.
Thank you.
Hi, Tom. Hi,
Hi.
Miriam. Thanks for doing this. So this is my comic. So I love going to a lake, and whenever I tell people about this lake, it's a popular lake where people go to get lunch. Whenever I tell them about this, they say, why do you like this lake? It's always full of people. It's stupid. You're stupid. And they don't realize I go there on the weekdays. So it's completely empty then. And then it's really beautiful. And I have a nice corner. I camp there. I kayak there. So yeah. And that's it. And people don't get to see that side on pictures and when they go there, because they go there on weekends. But I'm an artist, so I have the freedom to go on weekdays.
That's really cool. And that's really nice to go during the week. That's awesome. I love that.
Awesome, Sumit. Thank you. I want to go to Tara next, but I'm not seeing Tara. So we'll go to Michael next and wait for Tara to come back. There we go. Oh, there we go.
Well, this was fun. The first thought I had about transitions in nature were the cherry tomato plants we have outside our front door. So the first one is my hand planting the seedling. The second one is the plant starting to sprout. In the sky are these stylized Chinese clouds that I love to draw. So I put them into the sky. And then the tomato plant pops up. And there you see the green tomatoes have turned into orange ones, and that's my hand reaching down to pick one. That's it.
Those clouds are super nice. And I like the composition too, where your hand is in the first and the last panel. That's great.
Yeah, I may try to stylize the roots of the tomato plants to echo the clouds later, but I have to figure that out.
Ooh.
Thanks for the suggestions.
Great idea.
Thanks.
Thanks, Michael. All right.
Thank you.
Looks like Tara's ready. Here we go.
Yeah, hi. This is my first time here, and it's been just so lovely. So thank you, Miriam, Tom, and then just everyone who's shared something, and the chance to work manually for the first time in a while. So here is my comic, which I'm going as like night today, and I stayed at this cabin in Blue Ridge. It was amazing. It's not showing up, but there's like a pinprick of light and like dark. And I went out birding, as I do, and I wanted to create just that feeling of anticipation when you just like are like the world is waking up with you. I did end up seeing a deer, so I have just these light beams that like were hard to convey, but pretty much true. Like they were going through that, like that through the trees. And then just finally like having the lightest panel at the end where it's just you with this discovery. So yeah.
Wow.
That's really gorgeous, Tara. I actually went camping for the first time recently, and we woke up early to listen to the birds, and that really makes me think of my experience. I love that.
Oh, I'm so glad. Well, thank you.
Thanks so much, Tara. And closing out the show, we have Edgar. Let's see what Edgar did.
Well, thank you very much, Tom, for calling on me, and thank you, Miriam, for the inspiration. First, I want to show you that my first transition is I'm going from a stubby pencil, a 3B, to a full new 3B. So I drew the page with both pencils, and it lets you think a stubby pencil is no good anymore. Frank Thomas, in his documentary about him and Ollie Johnston, owned a stubby pencil from Freddie Moore, one of the two greatest draftsmen. And he had tears in his eyes saying, there's still a lot of magic in this stubby pencil. But anyway, this is very quickly my little initial things. I have a me blowing a dandelion. I have seashells. I have my artistic symbol, the anchor, in honor of my father who was in the Navy, the moon, a heart, star. Then I have ocean waves rolling onto the beach. But here's the finished picture. I decided to go for big transitions. This is called Meeting the Moon Princess All Through the Centuries. And it was very tough not to have balloons, dialogue balloons, but I have Chichen Itza, Mexico, 1000 AD. And there's the moon shining over the pyramid. And there's the moon princess descending. And there's the moon boy gazing upon her for the first time. Then our two mothers in heaven plan our latest reunion in 2019 AD. So there they are saying, how can these two meet? Well, we meet at a political rally in Bethesda, Maryland on May 19th, 2019. Although neither of us can vote for the candidate who's coming there, but the host says, just come, there'll be lots of good food and drink. Anyway, will we meet again in the next life, 2250 AD? There I am in my Air Force NASA uniform, C-25 Explorer, amongst in front of Saturn, the stars, and there's the moon princess as before, simply appearing there. So we'll see what will happen.
That's amazing. I love seeing that. I love Saturn, how you drew that. That's also great, Edgar. And I grabbed to show you a tiny pencil I have on my desk too.
Oh, I want to see that.
Always bring them down. This is a 5B. I like super soft pencils.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah, I know there's lots of magic in that stubby pencil.
Edgar, thanks so much.
Thank you, Tom.
All right. I feel like that's not we've seen the moon goddess before, I feel.
You've seen the moon princess before.
Yeah.
Yes. She looms large in my legend. And many people say, has anyone besides you ever seen the moon princess? And I chuckle softly and say, a few people.
Just keeping it secret. Okay. Well, all right. We got to get that collection of yours out so we can all put the mythology together, I think.
I agree. I owe you a letter, and I haven't sent it to you because I knew you were very busy, but we'll be talking.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank
Best
you.
just send it. All right. Thanks, Edgar. And
You
we'll go
bet.
to Sophia. We'll finish up with Sophia. Here we go.
Thank you, Miriam. I really loved particularly the black ink. I think it was like 12 frames or so. So yeah, I'm gonna look that up and take a closer look at that. I did not get to my fourth frame. I got very preoccupied in the details already. So the transition I chose was sunset. And I like to draw a lot about running. And I love to draw about the beach and the sand dunes. So let me stream this out. This is always so hard. Okay, first frame is this one where there's a little bit more sun. And yeah, then it gets a little bit darker and a couple stars appear in the sky and the sun is basically setting. And I tried to get a closer perspective so that the shoe is sort of kicking off all this little sand. I tend to draw these stars really often, so I tried to work those. And I like to do a lot of little dots, so I tried to push that a little bit more, but I think I could do that even more for some shading. And then transitions into darker nighttime. And I liked what you said about the drying marker because my marker is drying as I was working and it was working to my benefit. And I was like, this is great. So yeah, just darker without getting away from like the lines that I was using to sort of show that half tone going into more nighttime and the moon rising. I wanted to depict it still kind of low so that in the last frame, I think I'd like to do a really, really, really close crop of my face, probably looking up at the sky and having that moon maybe be like completely above me. And yeah, I liked keeping it with the one color. I liked seeing your example for that because I like working on this monochromatic, you know, this colorful, this is very bright. It's deceptive, but the ink is orange. This is like not a great way to show it. But yeah, love the class. Thank you so much. Appreciate it and love everyone else's work.
Thanks. That's really gorgeous. I love the colors that you used, and using such similar color ink on paper is really cool. That looks great. Thanks for sharing.
Definitely. Thanks, Sophia. Miriam, I'm going to spotlight you one more time.
Okay.
There we go. All right. Wow, I feel like we've been on an adventure together.
This is
All 80 of us or what, however many.
so amazing.
Yeah, I think a lot of us really needed this, you know. And it wasn't just mellow or restful, but there were some really deep sort of connections with nature and with imagination even, you know. And so this was really wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Um,
so much.
yeah, why don't you tell us what you're working on? Are you working on anything grand or just little or smaller things or
I've been working on just recently, I really started publishing my own mini comics. I just been
uh-huh.
sending my comics to get sent out to get published. So I've been doing that. Mostly just trying to get that done.
Okay, well maybe we'll see you at one of the conventions um and let us know when those come out because we'd love to see what you do. This was a wonderful workshop.
Thank you so
I think
much.
everyone, and especially putting stars behind you is a really good idea too. It makes you look kind of angelic. Everybody should try that.
Yeah.
I'm
What
gonna,
about me? Yeah. You forgot about me.
About what?
sorry, I'm not sure what's going on. Anyway, I'm gonna ask everybody to unmute and give you
No, I mean like, what about my art piece? I didn't put my art piece.
Yay, thank
Sorry.
you.
Anyway,
Thank you. Thank you.
a little bit of chaos at the end. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank
Okay.
you. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you for the
Thank you,
class.
everyone. I really enjoy your classes.
Thank you so much.
That was
Thank
great.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so
Thank you very
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Miriam.
Thank
Thanks so much.
you.
It's wonderful.